Welcome to Undisputed. We're live from Los Angeles. I'm Joy Taylor. Here with Skip Bayless.
Hi, Joy. How are you?
Good morning.
Oh, you gonna let her get through the read, Skip?
No, I had to beat you to the punch.
Oh, my goodness.
No,
Hi, Joy. How are you today?
I'm good, Shannon.
See,
How are you?
I just punctured. His balloon popped.
That's a shame, Skip. You need to
Too
stop
bad.
this.
You're completely out of rhythm. How are you?
Any advantage is what we do around here. Good morning, guys. Let's get started. Let's start with the latest comments from Roger Goodell. The commissioner spoke yesterday at the league meetings about the national anthem protest. This came just hours after President Trump condemned the NFL again for not forcing players to stand for the anthem. Let's take a listen.
We believe everyone should stand for the national anthem. That's an important part of our policy. It's also an important part of our game that we all take great pride in. And it's also important for us to honor our flag and to our country, and we think our fans expect us to do that. We want our players to stand. We're going to continue to encourage them to stand, and we're going to continue to work on these issues in the community. I think the fact is that we have about a half a dozen players that are protesting. We hope, and we're going to continue to work to try to put that at zero. That's what we'd like to do. But we want to make sure that we're understanding what the players are talking about, and that's complex.
After Goodell's comments, President Trump tweeted at the NFL, "Too much talk, not enough action. Stand for the national anthem." Shannon, what's your reaction?
Again, Commissioner Goodell makes it very, very clear, Skip. Anthem, country, flag. That's what is important. Skip, and see, for me, when someone is giving a speech or a memo or something, I listen very, very carefully. And maybe you didn't catch this, but this is what he said. I understand the way they feel about those issues. We feel the same way about patriotism and the flag. You see what he did there, Skip? I understand the way they feel. I thought it was a team. I thought we were partners. I thought it was we. What about we, Skip? We. So now it's not we. I understand the way you feel. You see Skip, something is working here. Because I'm against police brutality, because I'm against social and racial injustice, that doesn't mean I'm anti-American. That doesn't mean I'm anti-police. A large segment, and what I'm starting to see, either you take the police as it is, or you're anti-police. You either take America as she is, or you're anti-American. No. I'm not talking about all police officers. I'm talking about the bad ones. That's what I'm anti-bad police. I'm for good police. America is great, but America has flaws. And no, I'm not leaving. No, I'm not going anywhere because I want to make America great better, because I think there are some things that America can do better to help everyone. That doesn't make me anti-American. And see what they try to do? They try to make it mutually exclusive. You either take the police as is, or you're anti-police. You take America as it is, or you leave, or you're anti-American. No, I'm not going to do that, Skip. Because in what the players are starting to see, Commissioner Goodell makes it very clear. You and I both know, if they were not kneeling, these issues that the players are starting to bring before the NFL office, they would not even be touched on. Because the NFL Man of the Year, Walter Payton Award, each team nominates one guy. So that's 32 guys. But Skip, there's probably 10 to 15 guys per team that has foundations that's working in the community. So you're talking about somewhere between 300, 400 guys that you got to narrow it down that's working in their community. Now, the commissioner and the NFL makes it seem like, well, we're trying to get these guys working in their communities. They've been working in their communities. That's what the NFL Man of the Year Award is about. It's not about what you do on the field. It's about working in the communities. You see, for me, and what I'm starting to see, and I hope the players can see, this is about how do we get you to stand while doing as little as possible. I don't know if you noticed yesterday, Skip, but before Commissioner Goodell gave his speech, what transpired? Jerry Jones' daughter got up there and she said what? The NFL draft is coming to Dallas, and it's going to be the first time in NFL history a draft will be held at the stadium. Now, no one knew Dallas had an opportunity to get this. So that means they were working behind the scenes. Now, to get an land event like this, you must promise the NFL a certain number of rooms, because the players, their families, the NFL is bringing their crew. So you got to promise them something. So the players are looking like, hold on, Jerry, you was working behind the scenes. NFL, y'all working behind the scenes. How about you work behind the scenes to get some of this legislation about how police deal with minorities in their communities? How about you work behind the scenes and get legislation passed of how to deal?
I don't know if you noticed, but Jerry Jones did not participate in all this conversation about these issues.
Yeah.
He was there for the owners meeting,
Yeah.
which is the following day, but he ducked out of this one.
Of course.
So he's the renegade.
Yeah. But we know Jerry had his hands in the pot when it came to bringing that draft to Dallas. We know that for certain.
Well, sure.
And so that's all I'm saying. The players are saying, "Oh," and like you said, Roger, you understand those issues. The players understand that anthem and that flag is very important to you, and it's going to be a trade-off. My grandpa used to say, "Boy, anything that can be bought can be sold." Let me tell you something, players. If you sell your ability to stand for that anthem, if they'll buy that from you, they'll sell you cooperation. I don't trust the owners. They don't care nothing about this. They care about those fans and sponsors because this is affecting their bottom line. The issues don't affect their bottom line. Police brutality doesn't affect the NFL's bottom line. This social and racial injustice doesn't affect their bottom line. But these players not standing for that anthem is starting to affect their bottom line, and they're trying to come to some sort of resolution, Skip. But it was very interesting. I found it very interesting that he said that. But I tell you what, for a 58-year-old man, Commissioner Goodell is in the best shape for a 58-year-old man because he danced the entire press conference. He didn't answer anything direct. Ooh, Bobby, like, oh, man, look at the committee moving.
I'm not sure he can dance, but he tries.
Oh, but to keep moving and keep bobbing for all those questions they were answering me, nothing was direct. Couldn't land a clean. I thought it was Floyd Mayweather up there. Couldn't nobody land a clean
Great
shot.
cardio show. No, I agree. This commissioner, as usual, with the biggest issues that he faces, continues to flail and fail because he is a reactor. He is not a proactor. He was not out ahead of this as the NBA was, and so he was so behind the curve that the curve is kicking him in the butt, and he's just dancing as fast as he can.
Yes.
And he's trying to please both sides, and you can't.
Nope.
And he still refers to his players. He treats his players as employees, while the NBA treats its players as partners.
Partners.
Right?
Yep.
That's the big difference. I feel like when I'm watching the NFL's reaction to all this versus the NBA's on a nightly basis, it feels like they're in two different countries.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
Like, I don't even know where the NFL is. It's like they're over here and there's this other country over here. This is the land of the free and home of the brave, right? Over here with the NBA. I don't know because just quickly, last night in San Antonio, again, I'm a Spurs fan, so I was into this, but do you realize what they pulled off before the game started?
That video.
Big video about a big message of unity. They made it a we thing. And I'm going to remind you, Texas is as you like to say, a red state. Donald Trump won the state of Texas. Now, he did not win that Bexar County that San Antonio's in. Hillary Clinton did win that one. But still, it's a red state. And I'm going to assume, I don't know, but half the people there last night voted for Donald Trump. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you could make a pretty educated guess at that, right?
Sure.
But everybody stood and everybody applauded. And then all the players locked arms for the national anthem. And the great Tim Duncan came out of quote-unquote hiding. You know, he just doesn't come to the stage because he's a very private person.
Very.
He showed up, and he showed out with David Robinson. They locked arms, and it was a beautiful sight. And the coach of the San Antonio Spurs might be as outspoken a public figure against our president as there is in the country. Actors, entertainers.
White or black.
White or black. And what if that coach, Greg Popovich, let's just say for sake of argument here, discussion, what if he were the coach of America's team just up the road in Dallas, Texas? What if he were? What would happen? Can you imagine? The sky would fall.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Plus his owner would
He
not.
couldn't work for Jerry Jones.
No.
He's too Greg Popovich is stuck in his ways.
Yeah.
Jerry is stuck in his ways. I don't see how they cohabitate.
It would just his attacks on Donald Trump are just scathing.
Yes.
fine. He's welcome to his free speech, but he does represent an organization
Yes.
within the confines of the NBA, an organization who has lots of fans who voted for Donald Trump.
Yes.
So you could say, boy, you're out of bounds, Pop, but somehow everybody, it's a love fest. It felt like a love-in last
Right.
night because it was, to use your word, it was a big we thing.
Yes.
Let's all unite and try to fix the problems we have in our community, right?
Yes.
Wow. And the NFL is still, Jerry Jones is going to be a problem here. And again, I'm not condemning him for his stance because he believes what he believes. And he has the right to believe
Yes.
it also. But he's been the odd man out because we heard from several NFL owners yesterday who said, we're almost all united. It took a long time. Even John Mara has come around from being anti to, okay, I get it now. I'm seeing what these players are saying. And almost all of us are on board. The biggest guy's not on board.
Nope.
He's just not. And his team is going to be in the spotlight because the great irony is his team is about to play back where it all started, in Colin Kaepernick territory, right?
San Francisco.
At San Francisco, where the first kneeling took place by Colin Kaepernick, who, by the way, last I checked, I don't think he doesn't have a job, right?
No.
Okay. So I don't know how his team, Jerry's team, is going to respond to his edict that you will stand or you will not play.
Right.
And it was funny, as I listened and tried to parse the words of the commissioner, he kept saying, I'm not, in effect, I'm not going to order you, but I'm kind of sort of ordering you to stand because we want to get that number down. And the six that he's talking about are San Francisco 49ers. Thank you very much. But we want to get the six down to, he said, 0. Well, is that an order? Is that just kind of an order? Or is it a veiled order? Or what? Help me out. But the NBA, right from the start, as we've spoken of, their commissioner just stood right up at the first and said, we will all stand for the anthem. And the players said, yeah, we're good because we speak out. We use our tongues. You know, we're going to speak the words. We're not going to show you. We're going to tell you what we think.
And it's always, if you notice, when it comes to the NBA, and as you mentioned, Adam Silver speaks in terms of we. He views the players as their partners. Should. Okay, Roger Goodell says the players should stand for the anthem. Well, these players that are protesting said there should be no police brutality. There should be no racial and social injustice. So should, okay, but it is. So what are you willing to do, Commissioner? You want us to stand. We want to.
He doesn't know what to do. He just wants to go away.
Exactly. And you know why, Skip? And if you really think about it, if you think why the players, the NBA, when Adam Silver said they're all going to stand, no problem. Because he supports them 100% and their voices for their causes. See, this commissioner is reactionary. The NFL is reactionary. And they thought this would go away. They're like, okay, if Colin Kaepernick is not here, out of sight, out of mind. But what they didn't count on, it was just like a little pockets. But what they didn't count on, the very guy Jerry Jones wrote that check to for inauguration, he started this all back up again. Because this thing was just smoldering.
Yeah, and it's helping his cause or to at least rebuild some of it.
Yes. So now Jerry's like, he probably on the phone, Mr. President, you got to stop this. But you can't stop it. You can't control him.
No.
You created this monster. So now you can't control it. And the players, they're not backing down, Skip.
No.
Because they know they're in a favorable position now. You want this to go away. And they see what you and I see and what's being talked about and the percentage and the this and the that. They see that. They're like, nah, we want something and we can get it. Because we know one thing. When the owners are in a position of power, hence the lockout, they swing that hammer. And they say, this is what we want, or we're not opening these doors. Kids are not going to private school. Mama's not going to get the redo on the house. So what you going to do? If I'm the players, I say the same thing.
I hear you. And yet it still feels to me like the NFL and NBA have two different fandoms, because I remind you that the Green Bay Packers asked all their fans to just lock arms for the anthem. Just all you have to do is lock arms. You can still put your hand on your heart. No, we saw small pockets, but very small pockets at Lambeau Field.
And you got USA chants.
Yeah, and they basically voted no. And that was a state that did vote for Donald Trump also.
Right.
But we get the Spurs fans united in loyalty to the causes. It's a we cause, and the team is united, and then the team goes out and is not distracted and torn apart by this. The team played well on its opening night, didn't even have its 2 stars, and beat the T-Wolves in home opener. It's because they're all together. Everything's okay.
But Skip, this is what's so hard to me, is that why is it that if you speak against police brutality, you're anti-cop, you're anti-police? And why if you say, you know what, I want everyone, regardless of race, religion, or orientation, I want them to be treated fairly. Why, if you want that, why if you demand that, you're anti-American? Why are these things mutually exclusive? It's hard for me to understand. And people are like, well, when I'm talking about police brutality, I'm not talking about the good cops, but I'm talking about the bad ones. So don't I have a right to call? Because that's what you do. You say, well, okay, bad apples. Okay, we called them out. Yep. But bad cops.
I hear you. Now, I'm going to go one other direction in a very different way. Our man, Michael Bennett, whom we've had on this show before, we had a couple times.
Yeah. Well, in Houston, and he came in the studio.
I respect him. I believe in a lot of the things he believes, and he walks his talk. So he said something yesterday that caught my eye, because I'm going to go back to how all this controversy originated. It's because, according to Michael, that, and we talked about this yesterday here on this show, Colin Kaepernick still does not have a job.
Correct.
So Michael said, I think the first step to even being able to even have a conversation is making sure that Colin Kaepernick gets an opportunity to play in the National Football League. Okay, I get it, but I'm going to bring it back up again. The best opportunity for him to play in the National Football League, to me, at least from a distance, was Michael Bennett's team. I'm still lost on what happened, because that was the turning point of this whole controversy. Right. Because I think we both thought, all three of us thought, wasn't this the best fit, the best locker room for Colin Kaepernick? Yes. Strong black leadership in that locker room, probably the strongest, right, in the league, I guess, and just veteran leadership. There's a lot of wisdom in that locker room. And I thought, boy, they can assimilate Colin Kaepernick in the quote-unquote controversy just like that. It'll be a great fit, because if we want to go back to skill set, I think his skill set is at least similar to Russell Wilson's. Yeah. They needed a backup quarterback, and all of a sudden he goes up and has a sit-down. He didn't work out, but he sat with the powers that be, including Pete Carroll. And then, out of nowhere, they announced, no, we're going in a different direction. You're going in a different direction? Because of what? And again, I think you disagree on this, but I'm challenging these guys. I don't know why they didn't stand up in unison and say, well, then we won't play. Like, just take a stand for Colin Kaepernick. You could have. Yeah,
they could have skipped. And for me, and people's like, why are you advocating for Colin Kaepernick to have a job? I'm not advocating. Look, all I'm saying is, with his resume, he's earned the opportunity to compete. If you don't believe he's a starter, Skip, you and I believe, Joe, I think you believe that he can start. If you do not believe he's a starter, okay, I'm not going to nitpick that.
Well, and by the way, quickly, it's possible Seattle decided he's too much of a starter,
well,
too much of a threat.
He said he's a starter in the league. He doesn't deserve an opportunity to compete for a backup spot? If he's not,
to be honest with you, every time you say that, I cringe, because I can't even envision him as a backup quarterback. Like, that seems beneath him just to be a backup. But that's just me.
But Skip, when you lose your job, you got to do things you don't necessarily think you should have to do. But you got to start all back over. And he's not asking to be CEO.
No.
I'll work my way back up. But if he can't play, and clearly he doesn't have the skill set from what a lot of teams and a lot of people tend to think, why not invite him in and see? What do you have to lose? If he can't play, it'll be boom. You're done with it. Out of my hair, we brought him in, he couldn't play. We're moving on to it in a different direction now. What are you afraid of if he can't play?
I don't know. You made the point yesterday, Michael Sam, is he going to be drafted or not? And it felt like the NFL said, need a quick favor here, quietly. Yeah. Jeff Fisher, could you do us a quick little favor? Just a little solid here, and take him in, what was it, seventh round? You're right down the road from Columbia, Missouri to St. Louis. Okay? So, again, I don't want to see somebody just pat Colin on the head and say, oh, we'll take him just to defuse the controversy.
No, that's why I'm saying but that's what I'm saying, Skip. I don't want you to hand him a job.
Right.
If you don't think he can play, why can't you bring him in and let him compete? If he can't play, he can't play. Cream, what do they say? Cream rise to the top. That's
Well,
what I feel.
that's another underlying element to this whole situation. We know that we've gotten away from the original conversation that Kaepernick started, but I think a lot of the players now, and Michael Bennett is obviously one of them, are starting to feel like, well, I can lose my job for standing up for something that I believe in, and that's obviously on the line.
Yes.
And Antonio Cromartie feels that way also.
Yes.
So it's happening, and they're realizing that they do have this power. And that the big difference to me between the NBA and the NFL is, while the NBA is reactionary, they are immediately reactionary. Like the Donald Sterling situation cemented the feelings and the relationship between the players and the owners and the commissioner.
Right.
And the NFL does not handle things that way.
No.
If they had reacted to Colin Kaepernick and what he was doing at the very beginning and sat down and had a one-on-one conversation with him and had the dialogue from the beginning, we would not be here right now. And in some ways, to me, it's a good thing because it has stirred the conversation in this country and has awoken a lot of people to what he is talking about.
Right.
But as far as the NFL and the business goes, they're in a spot, and they need to stop referring to all fans as the same. There are black fans that support what Colin Kaepernick and what the players are doing,
there are some white fans,
and there are white fans that support it also. So saying that we understand how our fans feel is a very unfortunate sweeping statement.
Yeah, but if you notice, the whole while he spoke, he never uttered the words police brutality.
Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell.
Well, yeah, that's strategic, of course.
Of course.
Will Lonzo Ball lead the Lakers to the playoffs? We'll discuss that next.
Saturday on Fox, it's a Big 12 doubleheader.